to the SML podcast. SML, the Brodown Fuel Journal 007, Primetime 000. What up?
Hey, what's up?
Not much. There's just a little bit going on. And we're just going to get right to the business. It's probably been maybe a week or two ago in real life, that last Meats versus Dump. And that got a little gritty in there, right? So you remember, I don't know if you remember the game or any of the chat in Meats' stream. Meats was broken, and Dump was blowing him out. Like, he was not, he pulled the pants down and spanked him. What do you think is the nastiest rivalry in the SML right now? Is it the Cardinals 49ers, or is there another rivalry that kind of sticks out to you?
Yeah, I think the interesting thing about the Meats and Dump rivalry is that Dump joined the NFC West because he did not like Meats. Like, he just could not. They used to butt heads last cycle, and Dump was the Jaguars, Meats was the Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
Meats kind of got the better hand of Dump for the most part. Dump said he was going to beat the Meats, and now
I do remember that.
And now he's starting to do it. And instead of fighting back, Meats is a little emotional right now. So I think when you factor in like the emotion and the backstory, I think that one is probably the best rivalry in the SML, just because they don't like each other. It's always a little bit better when they don't like each other.
So are there any other? Because to me, there's not really another rivalry out there. Maybe you and Bomber, and that's not a dirty rivalry. I feel like it's pretty civil at this point. There's not a whole lot of like malicious trash talk or anything like that. You guys still seem pretty amicable. But what are some of the top rivalries right now in the SML?
Yeah, I think mine and Bomber's rivalry is a good one because the games are close usually, and I think he leads the series by 1 or 2 games. And anybody who gets the better end of me always, I think, it is a marquee matchup.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, there's no actual beef between us. There's the Raiders and Raider fan, the Chiefs versus Raiders, but Raider fans not good enough to actually make that a rivalry worth watching. Honestly,
there's just not that many out there.
There's not that many. There's not that many.
Like, the NFC East has not been exciting this cycle. The AFC West, there's not a whole lot of garbage out there. And a lot of like the personalities, like there was a lot of like guys that were kind of boisterous and brought a lot of attention, like Coach Paulie. Like, I wasn't going to talk, this wasn't one of my topics, but Paulie early on in his SML career brought a lot of negative attention to himself by just kind of, the way that he put himself out there in the chat. And I think that he almost made himself a target. And now he's kind of taken a step back. He's now hiding behind the curtain. He's out there doing his business. He's grinding. He's kind of a silent knight out there. He's really doing a lot with this Dolphins team, not getting a whole lot of attention because he's not out there. He's not putting himself out there. Even you're trying the same thing where you're kind of down it back, partly because you're losing, not winning the big games in the playoffs or the Super Bowls. But there just doesn't seem like there's as many prominent personalities this year. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think that Paulie, right off the bat, last cycle when he joined, is very, very flamboyant. Like you said, he's dialed it back, which is fine. Me, it depends on the day. Obviously I haven't won as much, but
sure,
I still, depending on who's talking, I enjoy a good banter. One guy who would have a personality worth watching is Rowan Cub, but he can't win 2 games in a row to save his life. So, the personalities are there. I just think the personalities that are there get beat too much to say anything.
Yeah, I think you're right. Now, the last Meats thing I want to bring up, back in the day, before Dumping him really got into it, like, it was pretty much me. I was pretty much the only Meats hater out there. Like, anytime that Meats would talk, I would just try to fucking rattle his cage and just disagree with anything that he had to say. Meats shaming is at an all-time high right now. Like, everybody's ripping on Little Meats, and I don't know if that was his persona, if it was him winning last season, or just kind of the way that he's active when he wins and kind of disappear. Like me right now, I'm just as active as I've ever been, and I have not won a single game in this season. Why do you think Meat shaming has become so popular? Like, right now, I'm going to start the hashtag end Meats shaming. Like, Meats, he deserves better than this. The poor fella's getting kicked around.
Yeah, I think that Meats is kind of easy to pick at a little bit, and he takes it well too. He's not like not like some past members who if you pick at him, he'll say something out of line. Like usually he'll take it in stride.
Right.
And last cycle he was good, so
Hmm.
so people enjoy seeing Titans fall as well. So a lot of these guys that pick at meets are the mid tier to low tier guys
Right.
who meets beat up on.
Right.
So
Yeah, I guess they're just kind of excited to see him lose, and like to me, it kind of had the opposite effect because now he's kind of fell into a shell.
yeah,
Um, it's not exciting for me to pick at meets
yeah,
anymore. Let's talk about draft classes, man. I remember, and I brought this up before. If your secondary sucked, you drafted like the fastest corner you can get a hold of. You put your focus or put him as a whatever they call it in your training every week, and you'd max out, his XP. And if you did it right, you'd probably have at least a 90 overall corner by the end of the season. And
yeah.
it's not just the corners. I feel like the draft classes has been entirely weak this cycle, and even last cycle it started where the guys were tapering off. You should, I mean, you still have a couple guys, especially if the user wants to spam them, to make sure they get them dev games like a running back or whatever. But it seems like if you're, especially on the defensive side, you're not really able to develop players that well. Do you think that the draft classes suck, or are they kind of on par with what they should be? I'm not a fan of the lack of talent that I'm seeing, especially like even scouting right now. I'm not seeing a whole lot of talent in this draft class.
I kind of I kind of like them because a lot of the talent is usually low tier starter to solid backups.
Right.
And obviously you have your Edens, that's dumps running back. I think you might have just faced him. You have your quarterbacks, top tier players that are still there in the draft,
Mm-hmm.
but they're going top five. So they're probably going to a guy who's not very good at developing guys. Um, Something to consider. How often is there a generational cornerback or a generational receiver coming out of the draft each year? Like you said, 5 Maddens ago, I mean, you could have a 92 overall. I remember me and you both had
Mm-hmm.
95 overall players
Right.
after a season, and you could just keep doing that over and over again.
Right.
So I like that they've toned it down. You know, it'd be interesting if they had a little more generational guys, or if they spotlighted them differently than just X factor.
Right.
If there was truly a generational player and he came out at like
There's a
86 overall.
there's damn near every draft that there's honestly 1 to 3 players in every draft that was something or is going to be something, and I haven't really seen that out of these draft classes. Not even, I don't know. I guess to me the impact is a little like the ratings start off a little bit too low, and it takes a while to develop those guys unless you're willing to spam it or whatever. I guess personally, I'd like to see at least a couple guys start off a little bit higher in the overall section, especially if you're picking in the top 10. But
The, the the problem they have is they've started the last cycle. They started the overall way lower than they did this year.
yeah,
But the flip side was that potential and development went up way quicker.
right,
This year they brought the overall up a little bit more, but they scaled
development,
development way down low. What needs to happen, that development needs to come up just a kick more, and I think they'll be all right because at the end of last cycle, I think you're here for that. There's a lot of guys with abilities,
yeah, there
and
was,
which would be fine this year because abilities aren't as great.
mm-hmm.
But I think that if they can get development right on offensive line, on defensive line, fix dev games because there's like you said, defensive guys like Dan took a defensive end number 3 overall and he's normal dev. That guy's never going to be anything at all. There's just a lot of scenarios like that could be fixed.
She kind of segued into another topic. Just it's March. The game's been out since August, September.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on Madden from overall standpoint, offense and then defense. Not talking about the lack of features in CFM because you can do that any day of the week, and everybody knows that there was no improvement. So to me, if you look at the offense, I think the passing game has improved this cycle. I think they dialed back the running game. They didn't make it as easy for everyone to run the ball as it was last cycle. I feel like the guys who are good with their stick skills are the guys that can run for 3,000 yards in the season, and average to below average running players are not doing well. And then on the defensive side, they obviously scaled back the pass rush. I think they made man coverage a little too OP. Zone coverage is still kind of garbage, and overall, like you can't really matching personnel doesn't matter. I mean, if you're a good enough defensive player like Dan or whoever, you can come out and dime nickel 3-3-5 or whatever and stop everything. So that I'm not a fan of. I feel like if you load up in a 4-4 or 3-4 bear or 4-6, that you should be a lot better off to stop the run. Now you should be getting your ass exposed in the passing game because you got slower players out there. But I feel like match personnel should mean something. If you're savvy about when to call nickel, dime, and that it should make a higher impact. But those are just kind of my observations. So really, they've been kind of minimized the stuff that they have changed. Yeah, it's great that they've kind of dialed back the pass rush and pass rush abilities. However, it also has negatively affected defense because now you have to blitz to get pressure. So, and this,
Yeah,
especially in the back end where the zones suck, like I don't know. I think they made it a lot more difficult to play defense this cycle.
yeah. I think that like you said, my biggest gripe with the game is defensively. If you're coming out nickel every or often, you should
Right.
get exposed on
The run.
your cornerbacks and safeties should be getting ran
Mm-hmm.
over, and that doesn't
It
happen, and
does
that's
not
why
happen.
people sit in it. Now, one thing I do like that they added is the change of direction, um,
Sure.
and because that's what they've done there is they've made it to where guys can't cover the whole field. You
Sure.
can't switch unless if you have a crazy player, but you can't switch
Right.
off one player to the next. Um, I do like the pass rush because I know Meats says there's not enough sacks, but there really is compared to the NFL averages. The sacks are on par, and the pressure
Mm-hmm.
the pressure is there as well. I would like to see more like a little more like the pressure should affect a quarterback a little bit more, other than just if they're unevaded the quarterback. Like we should
Right.
see passes fall a little bit lower, but are still catchable. It's usually
Sure.
either intercepted or it's incomplete. Like
Right.
it's never way off, low or to behind them.
Right. Just where
Um,
you're minimizing the rack or whatever because they were
yeah,
high or low or whatever. Yeah.
yeah.
That's a physics
Now,
engine.
now, defensively, just how cornerbacks react to plays. I hate it in zone. Man, it depends, but
Right.
sometimes it's better, sometimes it's trash.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, I don't know. I don't even know what to think about the game anymore. Honestly, it's just kind of I think the best the game ever was Madden 18, and then they seem to take a dip from there.
Well, even this game, it played a lot better at launch than what it does. And you can say what you want. It played much better at launch. And then, like every year where they start, you got a large gaping hole, like a woman that's been used and abused one too many times. And they're trying to, don't laugh at that. And they're trying to fill the hole with Flex Seal. And Flex Seal, probably a great product, but it's not meant to stop, a Titanic type leak. And they throw all these patches at a garbage game with tons of legacy issues, and it just continues on and on. Well, we got to fix the zone drop now, but now the pursuit angles suck. Well, we up the pursuit angles, but now they got this weird glitch where the two guys lick each other's buttholes, and we're just not really sure how to fix it. Dude, I mean, it's crazy. Like I just had this guy that was stuck in a stutter. I don't know. This game pisses me off, but
Yeah, the game's not great.
it's
It's
garbage.
and given the circumstance, and some people will defend it.
Sure,
So,
I
and
don't.
and the issue I have is that it's now well over 20 years old now,
Sure.
maybe 30 years old. And when you have these same issues, and I'm not a freaking game designer, so I don't know what it takes to perfect the game or at least
Mm-hmm.
make it a good game. But whatever they've been doing for the past 20 years obviously
It's
hasn't
not
been
working.
improved on. So I don't know if it's the white coats, and we all know it's the mutt thing with where
Right.
their focus is
Just
on
the
the
money.
kids, and I respect that, I guess. But at the same
Right.
time, at least don't defend it though. Don't defend the game that it sucks, because it does. It's just that if you can say, yeah, the game sucks, but the mutt guys, this is what it's for, then we can agree. And it's probably never going to change. And I don't even know if competition will change it, because 2K is supposed to be the competition to EA, and 2K is doing the same thing in their basketball game
Right.
with their version of mutt. with NBA players. So it's all about the stupid what do they call it, loot boxes or whatever. It's never going to change.
It's microtransactions. And
Okay.
the thing is, you can take a turd and you can put clothes on it and make it look cute, but at the end of the day, you still have a turd, and that's what they have with this game, is a piece of crap. But they're not going to fix it. And I've said that you can go through probably 2 years ago in the podcast where I showed the news article where we talked about the game engine. Until they make an independent game engine for a football game, you're not going to have the gameplay and just overall the physics that you would expect. But I'm beating a dead horse. We're going to move on. And I want to talk about, we're going to move to the Daddy Leagues page so everyone at home can see it. But we're going to talk about the 10-0 Miami Dolphins. And we got to go back to Coach Pauly. Did you know that coach is undefeated?
Yeah, he actually just beat me like a game ago.
What happened in that game?
Yeah, that game was actually a pretty good game. I had the lead until about 5 seconds left in the game, and he got a touchdown to pretty much win it. Pauly's legit. This is the best he's probably played.
Mm-hmm.
And when I've lost to Bomber and I've lost to some other guys,
Mm-hmm.
I kind of pointed the finger at myself and say I haven't played too well. I legitimately had a really solid game if you look at the stats.
Just got outplayed.
I just got outplayed, and he was a better player. He stopped my run and all that, but I was very efficient passing the ball, and he was just a very good player.
The closest games have been against you, Dump, RD, and Meats. So when he plays the elite guys, those games are close. When he's playing the scrub squad, he's blowing them out, but he's still winning the games that the 50-50 games. Have you noticed like something different in his gameplay? Has he become cheesy? Or is he just not making mistakes? I mean, what did you notice from before?
Yeah, I know a lot of people highlight the RPOs, which he typically runs quite a bit, which that's not necessarily, excuse me, that's not like, so I define cheese as like running mutt concepts and plays and YouTube plays that
Sure.
exploit like a cornerback where he gets sucked down and it
Sure.
lets up a 70-yard touchdown. The what Pauly does, his offense is predicated on RPOs. And that's a little annoying at times, but he game plans and he preps and he knows what you're going to do. He's right up there, top 3 with Bomber and Dan. And then he plays just a solid game. It's ball control, try not to turn it over, and play good defense. And that it's boring, but he wins a lot of games. He wins a lot of games.
You try to get sweaty with it. You had about 60 yards rushing and then Mac didn't do anything, but you only had 2 incompletions. Only scored 1 touchdown, so it looks like drives just bogged down and you were unable to finish drives, so maybe you didn't run it enough or just weren't effective enough with your runs. Yeah. But it's been interesting. Coach has got Noel, Latin, Bomber, Dirty Dan, the Patriots, Matt, and then October. I mean, the hardest games are obviously going to be Bomber and Dirty Dan. Do you think he's going to go 16-0?
No, I don't think so. I'm kind of thinking 14-2. And I don't know if he's going to lose to both Bomber and Dan, but Matt plays him tough, and Pauly's kind of weird where he may not try his absolute hardest towards the end of the season either. Now I hope he goes about 13-3 so I can get the number 1 seed, but I just don't see that happening. So Pauly's probably going to be number 1 in the AFC.
The way that he's built his team is a lot different. Like a lot of like you and even Bomber and Dirty Dan, you guys have probably 7 or 8 guys that are over 90 overall. I'm looking at his roster right now. He's got 3 guys over 90, and he has a litany of players that are 80 and above. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 guys that are 80 or above. So I think that's where you see kind of the disparity in rosters. Like, yeah, these guys have, 4 to 8 guys that are above 90, but then like their depth and the rest of their role players on their team sucks. And I think that he's got a pretty well-balanced team, and maybe that's part of it. And like you said, he's playing the ball control game. I just kind of impressed that he's 10-0 and really not getting any credit, not seeing a whole lot of chat or anything about it.
Well, the thing is that schedule is by far, I mean, if you told me Pauly was going to play RD, Meats, Dump, the Patriots, myself, through 10 games or whatever it is, I would say there's no way he's going to be undefeated, or anybody would be undefeated, not even just Pauly. But Pauly, once again, like you said, last year he came in a little flamboyant, and people don't notice changes. They stick to certain opinions, and some guys just might not want to give him the credit that he's due.
I noticed the changes, and and I don't always like comment a whole lot in the chat, but generally I read through the majority of it, and I feel like Paulie's been pretty absent. I know right now he's coaching the kids up there and trying to get a chip, but Paulie's definitely a different player and a different member of the SML this go around. It'll just be interesting to see. Who do you think right now, as it is, who's going to the Super Bowl?
Oh, that's a good question. It's obviously between the big four in the AFC, myself, Bomber, Dan, and
Mm-hmm.
Paulie, and I think everybody else is just kind of chasing behind that. And I think it's honestly in the NFC, it's a two-horse race between Dump and Washington. RD is probably the most boring champion we've ever had in the SML. I never hear about him, never even when he's winning or never. And that's not a bad thing. It's just when I play RD or I don't even know if I played RD, but he's not like an intimidating force that if let's say if Dump won, it's like, oh god, I got to play Dump now. And maybe that's just because of chat persona and how electric he is. But RD just kind of boringly wins a lot of games. So I'm just leaving him out because he's boring. So I say it's between the big four in the AFC and the big two in the NFC. And why not throw Paulie in there? Paulie and Dump.
Yeah, that's kind of like what I like about RD, though. He's a guy that's winning and he's not bringing a lot. And that's kind of where your longevity comes in it, where you don't draw the big target on yourself. And I feel like that's what he does. He doesn't get involved in all the little kiddie shit. He's just here to play his game and wherever the chips fall. Washington gets a lot of credit, like in the shows and all that. I've not watched. Oh, I think I played Washington. I don't even remember if I played the guy, but I just to me, like I feel like he's kind of a bigger unknown than RD just because he's not really in the chat that much or really ever. I don't really see him say a whole lot in the chat. But oh great, I get to play him next. But but I don't know. I think that sucks. But son of a bitch. Anyway, boys, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up then, just because I'm getting sad about my schedule. I don't think I'm winning a game this year, bro.
I'm sure you will. Let me look real quick. Hold on.
I think it's done.
What's your record?
I got Raider. That's about the only. I have one
right.
win, but that was a sim win. I think Raiders legit the only person I can beat.
You compete with Grams. You have in the past.
I got no defense, man. I got no defense, and then right now my players' morales are down so low that we're not doing well. We're throwing Helly Kellys and fucking Stevie Wonders. Like we're just throwing blind and their interceptions left and right.
Well, all I can tell you against Raiders is don't let Hill beat you deep, play off, and you'll be fine.
It's a tough schedule, boys. Honestly, I kind of hope I lose out because if I do, it's like Raiders said, if you're a Super Bowl champion, you're the ultimate winner. The next winner after that is the person with the number one pick.
Yep, I agree.
And
you got all the power.
This is a very crappy draft class for me to go. That's what sucks, dude. I was looking at it and like, well, fuck. I kind of have to keep my quarterback because I'm not seeing anything out there that looks like an upgrade. But
yeah.
All right, guys. Check us out, simmaddenleague.com if you're checking us out for the first time. Dataleaks.com/SML. SML the primer. Primer, are there any spots open in the primer at this time?
Yeah, we got a few in the primer.
We went through another purge, did we?
Yes, we went through another purge, correct. So we're taking applications in the primer.
You heard it from the boss himself. We're taking applications in the primer, looking to fill up some spots. It could be you. You could be the next person to fill a spot in the Sim Madden League, the #1 community on PlayStation, and soon to be PlayStation 5 will be going forward. So if you ain't got it yet, or you're going on these websites, boys, I can throw it up for y'all real quick before we close this shit. Which you're going to check out, nowinstock.net. You can go to a product tracker, find a PlayStation 5. You can set up alerts where they text it to you. It tells you the last time they were in stock. Check it out, boys. If you ain't got it, you're going to need to get on it because I don't know if Pastor Prime is going to let you stay if you ain't got the PlayStation when we get to that point. So, I fucked up. I didn't even hit transition. So anyway, just real quick here. Now in stock, product tracker, PlayStation 5. Take a look right there. You guys need to get on it, and they should become more available as we get closer to the summer months. But thanks for watching. Brian, you got any closing statements?
No, man, I'm getting excited. Playoffs coming up here, probably what, a week or two away. So we'll see how the season finishes out for sure. It'll be exciting.
I guarantee I win out and I make it now. I'm just kidding. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Like, subscribe, take care. Have a great day.